November 23rd, 1985. In Athens, Egyptair Flight 648 readied for a short hop to Cairo. Routine, familiar, almost forgettable. 92 passengers boarded, families, business travelers, and solo flyers. 6 crew took their stations, expecting nothing more than another night arrival. Up front, Captain Hani Galal and First Officer Imad Munib ran the checklist, while an undercover security agent sat quietly among the passengers. The Boeing 737 eased from the gate and onto the runway, engine tone rising as runway lights streamed past the windows. Then, the wheels left the ground. The city fell away, and the aircraft climbed into a calm, fading sky toward cruising altitude. Inside, conversations softened, pages turned, seatbelts clicked. No one yet knew the hours ahead would become one of aviation's most horrifying hijackings. 10 minutes after takeoff, the cabin had fallen into the quiet rhythm of flight. Then, without warning, 3 men rose from their seats. They held pistols high, and each carried a grenade. Panic erupted. Passengers screamed and shoved back into their rows. Some froze. Others ducked, praying no one would provoke them. The hijackers moved down the aisle, demanding passports. They separated people by nationality: Israelis, Americans, Europeans. In that narrow cabin, the tension was unbearable. One wrong move could trigger disaster.
The cabin erupted in chaos. Shouts, scrambling feet, and terrified passengers packed shoulder to shoulder. In the aisle, an undercover Egyptian security agent, Method Mustafa Kamal, slipped a hand under his jacket and drew a concealed pistol. He fired once. The hijacker leader, Salem Chakour, jerked backward and collapsed, dead before he hit the floor. Then the cabin turned into a crossfire, bullets slamming seats, metal rattling, and overhead bins bursting open as luggage crashed down. Kamal was hit in the scramble. 2 flight attendants went down as well, wounded in the ricocheting gunfire. A stray round tore through the fuselage. The cabin depressurized in an instant, wind screaming as oxygen masks dropped. The pilots dove toward 14,000 feet. Smoke and gunpowder hung in the air as passengers prayed and clutched their loved ones.
With the leader dead and the security marshal wounded, the remaining hijackers clawed back control. Omar Mohammed Ali Rezak moved with ruthless precision, pulling Nasr al-Din Bu Said into line. Libya was out of reach. The pilots chose the only option left, Malta, and began a tense, calculated descent where every second could mean lives. Below, the lights of Malta appeared, small, unforgiving, while the cabin held its breath. As the aircraft neared Malta's Lucca airport, air traffic control refused clearance to land. Then the runway lights went dark, an almost impossible setup for a night approach, but the pilots held their line. Around 10:16 p.m., the jet touched down, skidding slightly on the tarmac. Inside, the hijackers still wouldn't surrender control. Threats echoed through the cabin as passengers waited. Only a small group was released. 16 Filipino, 16 Egyptian, and 2 wounded flight attendants, while the crisis tightened its grip. On the ground at Lucca, negotiators faced a cabin full of fear. Every minute uncertain, every decision dangerous. After the partial release, the cabin fell into a stunned silence.
Listen, every 15 minutes I execute a passenger, unless Malta refuels us and clears safe passage to Libya.
The hostages understood. The clock had become a weapon. Some prayed under their breath, others clutched phones, whispering goodbyes. They huddled together, praying, whispering to loved ones, trying to make sense of the horror. Then the minutes crawled. No one knew who would be next. Rezak watched, almost patient. Each tick echoed his meticulous cruelty, and the next death felt closer. Inside the cabin, passengers sat packed together, listening for footsteps. Rezak kept control through fear, calling forward an Israeli passenger. Tamar Artzi. A shot rang out. Tamar was dragged toward the aircraft stairs, pushed out of sight, while everyone froze. Against all odds, she survived. In the rows behind, people held each other, shaking, trying not to scream. 15 minutes later, another name, Nitzan Mendelsohn. The countdown began again. Then Americans were singled out. Patrick Scott Baker, Scarlett Marie Rogenkamp, Jackie Flug. One by one. Some died at once, others clung to life as the cabin filled with whispers, prayers, and stunned silence. Every 15 minutes, the threat returned. Parents shielded children and held on to hope in the dark. Outside the aircraft, Malta's authorities sealed the perimeter under floodlights and began calling everyone who might help. Egypt, the United States, and other nations were patched in, every update cautious, every promise measured. Inside, the passengers waited in a cabin that felt smaller by the minute, counting footsteps, breathing quietly, hoping no one panicked. As negotiations dragged, a rescue plan hardened. Egyptian commandos would come at dawn, disguised as caterers, close enough to touch the door. They rehearsed the breach in whispers, timing, angles, signals, because one wrong move could turn the aisle into chaos. And for the hostages, every second stretched, every shuffle, every glance, life balanced on the edge of a mistake. Before the planned assault could begin, Egyptian commandos moved early, closing fast on the aircraft. Charges blew doors and cargo panels open, the blast buckling the cabin and tearing at the floor. Smoke and fire erupted at once, thick and toxic, swallowing the aisle under flickering lights. Inside, panic spread. Passengers coughed, crawled, and searched for air, some pinned by debris. Hijackers hurled grenades into the chaos, feeding the flames as the cabin turned into a furnace. In the smoke, commandos fired blindly, unable to tell hostage from attacker until the plane was pure terror. When the smoke finally cleared, the devastation came into focus. Dozens of passengers and crew were gone, many overcome by fire and smoke. 2 hijackers were killed as well. Survivors, dazed, burned, and coughing, were pulled from the wreckage, stumbling into the open air as rescuers steadied them. Medics worked in relentless waves, cutting away clothing, giving oxygen, and treating injuries wherever there was space to kneel. In the chaos, Omar Rizak, the lone surviving hijacker, tried to pass as just another wounded passenger, slipping among the injured as teams rushed by. But as stretchers lined the tarmac and the wrecked cabins smoldered behind them, the human cost became undeniable. An emergency measured in lives. In the days after the hijacking, survivors at St. Luke's General Hospital identified Omar Rizak. He was arrested and taken into custody. The case began in Malta, where he was first prosecuted. Years later, he was extradited to the United States to face additional charges. In U.S. federal court, he received a life sentence for air piracy and murder. Egyptair Flight 648 became one of the deadliest hijackings in aviation history. Passengers and flight attendants showed extraordinary bravery alongside an Egyptian security agent's sacrifice. But the hijackers were ruthless, and a rescue attempt, badly timed, brought tragic consequences. Survivors still recalled a fear and small moments of selflessness amid terror. The lessons from that night reshaped aviation security, crisis negotiation, and anti-hijacking measures. It remains a sobering reminder of both the fragility and the resilience of human life.